Tonight, former President Donald Trump held a rally in Allentown, Pennsylvania, home to one of the largest Puerto Rican communities in America. The rally comes at a remarkably awkward moment for the Trump campaign. It's been only 48 hours since MAGA comedian, that's not an oxymoron, MAGA comedian Tony Hinchcliffe made a shockingly racist comment about Puerto Rico, one in a series of racist comments about both Latinos and Black Americans at a Trump rally in Madison Square Garden.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
When questioned by reporters earlier today about Hinchcliffe's comments, Trump didn't apologize. He pretended not to know Hinchcliffe, saying, "I don't know Tony Hinchcliffe. Someone put him up there. I don't know who he is." But that doesn't mean that Trump didn't really like that New York rally.
It was like a love fest. An absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved.
My honor to be involved. About 5.8 million of them live in the United States and can vote in this election, including 472,000 who live in the battleground state of Pennsylvania. Joining me now is Victor Martinez, owner of La Mega, the radio station in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and host of The Morning Show. Victor, we saw each other, I don't even remember, it feels like 2 years ago, but it was, I think, a week ago. Thank you for being here tonight. I just first want to get, your view from the ground. Trump's rally just concluded in Allentown. There was talk there might be protests in and around that rally. What has the mood been like on the ground? What was Trump's reception like?
Yes, there were a few people who decided to go and protest. I personally told my audience not to. I told my audience that it wasn't worth going there and put themselves out there that way. I think and I thought it was dangerous for them to do so. What I told my audience is if they really upset, if they really want to protest, the best way to do it is next Tuesday at the ballot box. If you want to take your flag and be proud of being Puerto Rican, the best way to do it is next Tuesday in the ballot box.
The comedian at this rally at Madison Square Garden said such appalling things about many Americans, but really, he reserved a particular amount of vitriol and directed it at Latinos and Black Americans. What have your viewers, your listeners, said to you? What have you heard? I know you do call-ins on your radio show, but what has their reaction to these comments been in recent days?
The last 2 days, yesterday and today, we've taken hundreds of calls. People have been calling. First of all, they can't believe that something like this will be said in such a public way about any country, but especially about us, for us, Puerto Rican, about Puerto Rico. They were surprised, they were upset, and now they're just flat mad. One of the things that has gotten us, the Puerto Rican community, mad by the hour is the fact that even though, yes, Trump didn't say those things, for the last 2 days, he's completely neglected to even address the situation, even acknowledge the situation, apologize, or maybe even distancing himself from what happened. And then today, this morning, at 10 a.m., when we heard that he was having a news conference, we all thought, well, okay, maybe now he's going to finally say something. And then we hear him say that it was a love fest, that he loved it, that he was proud of being part of that event. Well, that just told us flat out that he agreed with everything that it was said.
It's also a reminder of the attitude Trump has taken to Puerto Rico in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria in 2017. It was just an abysmal response from the president. And for people in your community who may have forgotten about that, this is a searing reminder of the attitude he has taken towards an essential part of the United States and the United States diaspora. Do you think this is the kind of thing that's going to make Latinos, people in your audience, change their votes if they were Trump supporters?
From what I'm hearing right now, yes. I'll give you an example. I had a listener who called in this morning, and he told us he's a Republican, and he already voted for Trump by mail. And yes, and yet he was upset. He was mad that he already voted. So when I asked him, okay, and now what? He said that in order to make up for already voting for Trump, he's now calling everyone he knows to make sure they're voting for Kamala Harris. So that just gives you an example. And you mentioned Maria, and you're right. You know, time heals all wounds, and that happened 5, 6, 7 years ago, and we kind of let it go. We left that as it was. What happened on Sunday brought all those feelings back. It reminded us, oh, that's right. That's the guy who threw paper towels at us. That's the guy who wanted to trade us in like a used car. That's the guy who called us poor and dirty. That's the guy that now is part of this Puerto Rico is trash comment. It's like a wound, right? It was healing, and now that wound has been opened back up and it's bleeding again.
In the wake of the Madison Square Garden rally, some really prominent Latino and Latina artists, some from Puerto Rico, including J-Lo, J-Lo's, her heritage is Puerto Rican. Bad Bunny, who's probably like the most culturally relevant artist right now, maybe, and also happens to be from PR. Don Omar, Daddy Yankee, they came out and endorsed Kamala Harris. And I know we talk about celebrity endorsements, but to have those endorsements roll out after Trump is doing this and saying this to the Puerto Rican community, I mean, do you think that makes a meaningful difference?
No, absolutely. I think that has an impact, that all of those artists right now are out there endorsing Donald Trump. And I'll go even further. The Puerto Rico representative in Congress, which is a Republican, a Trump supporter, and a candidate for governor in Puerto Rico, Jennifer Gonzalez, said today in Puerto Rico's television that she believes that this situation will hurt Donald Trump in the states where Puerto Rican lives.
You're in one of them, Victor. I want to hear daily dispatches about what is happening on the ground there. You're our eyes and ears. Thank you so much for making the time, Victor Martinez. It's great to see you.
Thank you.